Gigs and Ghosts, Season 3, Episode 4, live from the Gigs and Ghosts HQ. Back once again. Oh, where's my microphone? Check it out. I'm like Joe fucking Rogan. This week's guest is a great man. Somebody I've wanted to get on this show for quite a while now because the many times I've been in a room with him, he's been one of the best storytellers I've ever met. So, Rags, right. Welcome to Gigs and Ghosts.
Hey, Mikey, how's it going, buddy?
I'm good, mate. How are you? How's life treating you?
It's going okay. It's going all right. I just had a little bit of a break. The band took a little bit of a break from playing to take care of some stuff. I went to Canada, hang out with my mom for a little bit, recorded some new stuff for a solo album there with a cool producer and stuff. And then now I'm back, back in the old UK, ready to hit the road and start playing some more and stuff. And hopefully see you at the parish,
Oh, you know that's going to happen. Yeah. Oh, yeah. We've got a new little like two venues there now as well. So we can choose where we put you and stuff. Just have a good time. So Rags, this is how we're gonna go. In this podcast, what we like to do is we like to talk to our guests about their love of music, how they got their start, where they've been, where they are right now, and where they plan to go in the future. And once we get past all that sort of stuff, then we go a bit dark, a bit spooky, a bit paranormal.
Like this?
Exactly like that.
Okay, good. All right, I'm ready then, man.
Before we start as well, look, I've got a spot. I think it's a stress spot. It's been a busy week, but I had Oasis playing last night, and they made me work.
Which band?
Oasis. Oh
God, really? Cool.
Yeah, it was a good show, but man, 36,000 steps I did in a building yesterday. Yeah, I even went and got them a microwave so they could warm up some soup. They didn't use it.
Oh, come on.
Who does that? But
that's round M&M's, man.
But that's neither here nor there. It's all about you tonight. So, Rags, Question number 1.
Yes.
How did you, sir, get your start in the world of music?
Oh, man. Well, I have a lot of older brothers and sisters, you see, 6 kids in the family, and I'm 10 years younger than the next one. So I couldn't really hang out with them so much, you know what I mean? Because there was a lot of, it's just a little bit of a different kind of situation there. But man, did they have great records. And I sat around listening to Cheap Trick and the Rolling Stones and Led Zeppelin, and the big ones were Kiss and the New York Dolls, from when I was about 7 years old. And I just fell in love with music really, really, really hard, and I remember I asked my mom and dad to buy me a guitar. They're Hungarian refugees from the 56 revolution, hardworking people, and they're like, nah, you're just going to break it, And so by the time I turned 14, I realized, I wasn't going to be an astronaut. I wasn't that good at math. So I figured rock star was going to be the next one. So I lied about my age at 14, got a job at McDonald's, bought my first $80 Telecaster. After that, started my first band in high school. After, I had the best drummer in my neighborhood, actually, which was the best. He could have played with anybody. And we had a load of a lot of Italian families, and first generation ones, they're learning how to play piano when they're 3 and stuff, you know what I mean? So I had a lot to live up to, in the neighborhood. But for some reason, we were great friends. We started our band Rat Salad.
Great name. Great name.
First 2 shows. First show, the principal from my high school closed the curtains on us because we had a song called "Acids for Junkies, Not for Blue Jeans," and we made everybody chant "acid, acid," and all of a sudden it's just like whoop. That's it. And I was gonna get kicked out of school for that one. That was my first ever real gig, and then that's kind of how I started. The main thing though was. And the most important thing I think in my head when I think about those times, Mike, is like everybody's learning cover songs. And I had to learn cover songs just to placate this great drummer. He's like, come on, man, I want to learn how to play Battery by Metallica, right? So I'd have to figure out a way to learn these riffs and stuff, but the most important thing to me was immediately to write songs, you know, and to put these, you know, you learn how to play the power chord, you know, you got those two fingers, right?
I still can't do it, man. I've got children hands. Look at these.
You don't need to. You got a lot more going on for you, buddy. Don't worry about it. But, you know, you can put that anywhere. And I just was writing songs, and immediately that's kind of what I wanted to do. And so that's where I started, you know. And after that, I didn't look back. You know, my first real bar band, the first year, I got the diary of me playing when I was 18. I have 112 shows in a year that I put, like, from 0 to 112 shows in a year, like hanging out at clubs and, you know, bugging people like you. But back then, without the internet, you know, like, hey, come on, I got a cassette here. You know, it sounds like shit, but, you know, we're pretty good. And, you know, just blagging and blah, blah, blah. And it was all part of it. And I loved every single moment of the nonsense.
Don't you kind of miss those sort of days? Because I know I do. Like when Shiraz first started, it was like before, like, you know, social media and shit. And it was that, you know, sending like a tape or a CD off with like a little glossy photo of yourself and a little bio you've handwritten and stuff like that. And it was kind of romantic almost, you know.
You know, it was romantic, and also the way weird things happen. Like, I mean, we just to jump, like, you know, I ended up in a band that we were playing. Oh man, I was gonna pour myself a drink before we started, and now I want one. Yeah, Mikey, what was I gonna say? It's like, you know, we had like the same manager, one band I was in, as DOA, you know, that kind of stuff. And even to me, talking to this guy on the phone and doing this, it still seemed mysterious. It was weird. I would, you know, plan this stuff over the phone, wouldn't see anybody's face like we're talking now. The conversations were few and far between. You had to get the planning done and done right. And then you're in a van, and then you don't talk. You go out there and you sweat and you play. And it was just like, and I loved it because I think in that part of my life, and a big part of it, it was a way, you know, I don't want to make it sound like there's always a sense of escaping, you know, a certain situation or whatever. But mostly it just felt like I was part of a world now that didn't belong to anyone else. And it didn't have its roots in anybody else's ideas of what was right, what was wrong morally, or anything else. And then I ended up finding out that the people I was with, it's funny, had a higher moral compass than anybody else that I saw staying at home with their 9-to-5 jobs. And I was happy. You know, I missed entire years of cultural references. Like, you know, I just got into a few years ago Star Trek. And my wife laughs and goes, "What, you didn't watch it after work?" And I was like, after work, man, I was sleeping in the back of a van.
Exactly.
Man, missed Star Trek in the 90s. Anyway, but yeah.
Yeah, no, it's true. It's like I'd say maybe 90% of my friends are people who are in bands. Mm-hmm. And some of them I've been friends with for like 20 odd years from doing that, like traveling down to the bottom of the country, somewhere I've never been before, sleeping on another band's floor. I slept in a wardrobe once, and these are people that you just stay friends with because you're going through this crazy fucking life.
And it's like, you know, meeting you, like, I mean, we have people in common that are really close friends, like Scott Sorry, you know?
Yeah.
These are like bigger than life people, almost like superheroes in a way, but they're like with names like monster movies, you know what I mean? Like Mikey Shiraz and Scott Sorry, you know, and stuff like that. Even like Rags or Kit Swing or whatever. It's like, but these people, you meet them, and I kind of hope so, but like, I mean, they're the best people. I'm so happy that I made that decision and stuck with it. The funny thing, normality, my wife and my family, I met my wife backstage at the Barfly at a gig, you know, when I was touring from when I was living in New York. So even my family got brought to me, you know.
Yeah.
So,
it's amazing. What music brings to you is just fantastic. But what you just touched on there is something that I've thought about a few times. And it is the amount of friends I have, and I don't know their real names. You know, yeah, I was like during lockdown. I remember I got interviewed on ITV News about like venues and music and how hard it is, and my name came up as Mike Baird, not Mikey Shiraz. Yeah. And the amount of messages I've got, people going, "Who the fuck's this Mike Baird guy? Why is he nicked your face?" You know?
Like it was a misspelling or a mistake or something, right? Who's that guy? Yeah. But it's funny too because I think that anything that you do in life, and even if you're not a musician, or if you're an artist, or even if you're not an artist, there's a certain amount of taking a look at yourself and seeing yourself in the shoes that you would like to be in. And that can be an awfully positive thing. It's not an imposter thing. It's not pretending to be somebody you're not. It's trying to be the best kind of idea of what you'd like to be. And sometimes, it's like that line, all the best ones change their names, from Johnny Thunders to Ace Frehley to like Keith Richards, it's like everybody's messed around a little bit to sort of encompass maybe a feeling that they had or something that they wanted to achieve. And I think that's great.
Is Keith Richards not really called Keith Richards?
No. He changed it just slightly. I think it's just a letter or something like that. It's. I
was going to say, you're going to choose a stage name. You're like Keith. Keith's the one.
Yeah. Maybe I'm wrong with that. No, I do know that he went between Richards and Richard because he wanted to be like Little Richard and all the rest of that stuff.
Oh, wicked. Yeah.
Even subtle things like that, you know what I mean? Like, I mean, not everybody's going to be Ace Frehley, are they? You know what I mean?
No, very true. He did get one of the better names.
Come on, Ace? Yeah, totally, man.
Yeah. So, like you say, you went from 0 to over 100 gigs a year pretty quick.
Yeah.
How quickly did you start gaining traction, like getting noticed?
Well, that was the thing. Within that first band, I kind of got, we started to make some moves and stuff like that. And we started to tour a bit. And like I said, I was 18. But then I met some other people in another band, a great singer and an awesome drummer. And this guy, Simeon, he was a fantastic frontman and stuff. And we kind of had a mutual admiration society with each other, And I was getting sick of, this singer in this band. Really, like, I was getting all those gigs. I was doing all that stuff. This guy just wanted to hang out with his girlfriend. And it's got to the point where I don't want to do that. I just don't want to hang out watching movies. I don't want to watch the Little Mermaid with my girlfriend on the rug. I mean, that's fun sometimes, but I want to play music and I want to get going. So I broke that band up. I quit. And then I started a band with this other guy. We started to play some shows. That was fine. We decided to take 6 months of doing nothing but rehearsing. Within the first 4 shows, we did this thing called a Rock Against Racism benefit. And there's this band called Same Difference. And they were quite big in Calgary and Alberta and stuff. And there was about 1,000, 1,200 people at this place rammed. And they really liked us. And they were like, hey, how about right backstage, how about we go on now and you guys headline? And we were like, and it was on local television, right?
Mm-hmm.
He's like, I was like, you can't do that, can you? Yeah, you can have our slot. We can do whatever we want. It's live on TV. The next show, like I love this story because it's like when I talk about it, it's funny. We had a lineup around the block, like that typical, like right down 17th Avenue in Calgary, down the street. And after that, it was great. And then we got like this manager, this guy who's like managed DOA and stuff like that. We ended up touring Canada, back and forth, which is long tours, And then we got on the radio, AM radio, and then we ended up getting support slots at the hockey arena, like 10,000 people and stuff. We did this festival with the Ramones, SNFU, Bad Brains, all like who else was on there? Nova Mob, the guys from Husker Du. And we were like right in its excellent slot. I mean, we ended up touring playing a bunch of shows with Oasis off their Definitely Maybe album, the first album. Yeah, stuff. And it was crazy. And then, I was like, that was like chapter 1 of like, what happened? This crazy. And then we went to Toronto and stuff, and we did really well. I mean, we won this Much Music, which is MTV, this big contest, like people phoned in their favorite new band, that kind of stuff. But we just moved to Toronto. So it was just like this whole kind of it felt really good. And, you know, I mean, we never made a million, you know, there's no swimming pool shaped like guitars, you know, but, you know.
There are in here, and there are in here.
Yes. But then, you know, I started another band with another guy who was signed to a label. And then we went to New York, and Jesse Malin from Degeneration, you know, we became friends and stuff. He talked me into moving there. Then we started that band, Madison Strays. We got on Dane Lowe from Radio 1 loved us. It brought us over with the Ed Stringfellow agency. Like, we didn't pay a penny. We were just flown over here to tour and stuff. And it was just like we were in every HMV. It was like these things like up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down. But I don't know, the more I rode the roller coaster, the more fun I was having. And then I just realized, I don't know, I'm pretty much a carny now. I'm just going to be on the roller coaster.
Yeah, that. Yeah, once you're on, it's hard to get off.
That's right, man. It is.
Yeah, it's like, I can't remember who it was I had on the show a few seasons ago, but you are what I like to call a lifer. Some people, they're in bands, and they're in bands for a few years, and they go, yeah, I don't want to do this anymore, and they just leave it. I could never do that. I know a few people who are like that. You're definitely one of those. We are we're in it for the long run.
we're in it, and you know, it's been a great life so far. So why stop it?
What else would we do?
I don't know.
I don't want to know.
I don't want to have a hobby. Yeah. I love, you know, it's like, you know, as they say in certain instances, you know, here is Rags on stage, proud father of two, get those bills on the stage. He doesn't get paid for overtime, you know, but you know, it is what I do. And it's kind of, it's inferred all the way I look at life and the way I look at the world is kind of like through those glasses anyway. And, I've seen so much of the world because of it. I just don't want to stop now. Like I said, I got another album coming out. We just finished the record. I mean, we get some good reviews. It's nice to know people still listen. Like I said, I ain't no rock star, but I am. You know, like you are. You know what I'm saying? Like,
you are.
I'm not going to, you know, be bravado, and I'm not going to say anything that I'm not. But that's the job application. And I mean, you know, I might be, I still might be entry level at 53, but that's still what's on the piece of paper right under my name.
Damn straight. So when you were brought over by Zane Lowe to the UK,
yeah,
and then, you said you met your now wife at the Barfly. Was that on that tour?
Yeah.
And is that why you ended up like moving over to here?
Well, yeah. Well, she came to live with me in New York for a while in Greenpoint in Brooklyn, and yeah, and then that was we were together for a year, and then we got married. Funny enough, so it wasn't like a super long time. It's like sorry,
a whirlwind romance.
Oh, it was. When I tell my kids that, my son has a big laugh about that all the time. I was like, God, that wasn't a long time for you guys to know each other. You get married, but But then, and then I ended up moving here to England because that band, of course, that band is funny. Like, there are so many good things happening for it and stuff. And that band kind of imploded for a lot of your typical reasons. That was now you're a little bit older and there's typical reasons and certain people couldn't hack it, do whatever and this and that. And then just that little extra push over the goal line, you know what I mean? It was just too much. And then I was like, okay, you know what? I'm just going to, then I moved to England and started working at Denmark Street and started the Role Models, you know. And,
great band.
You know,
when I first met you, that's you were in Role Models.
Yeah.
I mean, actually, was it? I'm trying to think when we first met. You were in Role Models. I don't know if it was Scott Sorry Show or the Pure Rock Awards or something like that.
Was it the Pure Rock Awards?
It could have been.
It might have been. Oh, that was messy times. Yes, sir. It might have been that. I think though, you're right in saying that the Scott Sorry connection. That's definitely where we really connected. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Like that's definitely where we really connected. And I remember doing a bunch of we headlined a couple of shows to raise some money for him when he
We raised some good money, so that was good.
Yeah, that was fun. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, you came over here, you got the role models together, you started doing stuff with that, and then what happened there?
Wow, I just like I say, just keep going. And there was just a bit of advice I got actually, because I was starting to, just before that album, The Go-To Guy, the first full length role models album, I was playing a show with the first incarnation, which there's Sully from More Kicks was the guitar player and stuff. Great, like really talented, guitar players. But I was getting tired, and I could feel it. And Walter Lure from the Heartbreakers, like Johnny Thunder and the Heartbreakers.
Yeah.
Walter and we met a few times and stuff. And one night we're just at London, and as after one of my shows, and he had his drink, he has a little scotch, and he's like, "Rags, you're looking tired. What's the matter? What's going on?" I was like, "Well, I don't know what to do. I mean, I got a lot of songs here, and I think I just need to get focused in a way, but the focus is eluding me, how I'm going to go about the next step." He said, "Well, I'll tell you this. Get that first record done, play some shows, go home to your wife and kids, then do another record. This simple. Then play some shows, go home to your life. Do that 3 times. That's 3 years from now. That's nothing. You can, if you are up to the challenge to do that, you have a body of work nobody can ever take away, and you spent real time with your family and your life, and because there's no art without life, Rags." And I was like, okay. And then that was it. That's why I did those role models albums, 1, 2, 3. And I was like, I did it. And then I was just like wanting to do, and then Daniel, our bass player, Daniel Hussein, he moved to Germany at that time. And, it was just hard to get things together. Nick, Nick Hughes, Middle Night Man and stuff like
Very
that.
well.
These guys are like, yeah, these guys are still so close, like, friends. Simon stuck with me, but I just wanted to do an album, just try something that was not like that. So that first Rich Ragany solo record, it's quite, it's got some more of acoustic bass to it and stuff like that. And I really enjoyed it, but still had a lot of heart, I think, and a lot of grit to it. And then I did that. And, that's with Ricky, who's in the UK subs and stuff like that. And we've got like Gaff, who was in the Devordians and Glitterati. And these people came to help me make the record. Man, that last day in the studio, Mikey, when you got to do the hand claps and you got to do the
and the back,
the fun stuff. Automatically, everybody shows up with a bottle of their favorite things or whatever, and it's like, oh, what are we going to be doing? Some gang vocals. We're going to be clapping our hands. We're going to be doing something. So everybody's going to get drunk. Man, at the end of that thing, we were a band, and it wasn't me. It was Ricky going, "This is a band, right? Rags, can we just make this a band?" It's called Digressions, the Digressions, because of my long ass storytelling, Mikey, No,
you're like you said at the start, you're a great storyteller. I can and have listened to you for hours. I remember being in a backstage room once with you, and we were just chatting away, and somebody from the bar had come up just to check on the room and get some empty glasses, and you got them to sit down. And like about an hour and a half later, the manager came up to see where they were. And everyone would just sit in listening to some of your crazy stories.
Oh man, I forgot about that. Yeah, God, well.
But one of the other things about which I've always liked about your songwriting is your lyrics. Where they come from. It's like there's nothing seems to be like throwaway, if you know what I mean. It's not like I've had times in the past where I've not known what to write about, so I've wrote about films I like, but you've always seemed to have something to write about. I think it's sort of very special about you as a songwriter. Were you like that from the start?
Oh geez, like that's a really great compliment coming from you. Thanks. I guess I didn't know. I wasn't. I don't think I was very good at writing songs about other people, but I could write about where I was amongst other people. doesn't necessarily have to be completely about me, but, and I think that kind of, it kind of makes that songwriting a bit more personal. And then I love classic songwriting where you can make things a little bit universal and stuff, where it doesn't necessarily have to be like, well, this is about him, woe is me. But I also like the ideas like people like Paul Westerberg or Bob Dylan and stuff like that, where it's amazing. They could be saying what sounds to be, that's a pretty dark thing to say, but like life, it's like you can have this music that's just like, you know what I mean? Like just makes you want to take a deep breath and walk 2 inches taller, anyway. Yep. And that's the greatest source of strength, the well of strength that you have is like the music and then what you can say with it. And you can be completely honest and it not be, it's like, with songs and stuff, I get very bored if things are so black and white. I like that gray area because it just drags you into like, where are you? You know what I mean? And how do you really feel about that? Man, this is the worst thing that's ever happened to me. But somehow I see that sunset and I realize that I was lucky enough to feel that pain, stuff like that. And it's important.
I do think especially with lyric writing, it can be so cathartic. It can be a good source of therapy. You're writing everything down onto a piece of paper, but finding a different way to say it. And like you say, you in the darkest of dark, you can always find like the light out there. And I think writing lyrics is a way that you can do it. And it's like it. So it is something I have always admired about you with that, and it's good to see it. It's good to, I'm looking forward to hearing a solo album.
Oh man, yeah, I can't wait for you to hear it too, man. I'm really, we're talking about one of our friends in common. The title track, it's in a movie soundtrack, which is a first for me. And
I was going to hit on this, yeah.
Yeah, but the song title is and the album is called "You Can Get Dark with Me," and it's from a conversation me and Scotty always have these. Scott Sorry and I have these conversations. We have some family things that we have in common that it's nice to know somebody out in the world understands. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so we talked to each other. And I remember one time it was my turn, like, oh, it's like this. And I was like, oh man, I'm sorry if I'm kind of a downer. And he just went, oh, Rags, you can always get dark with me. And I was like, oops. I was like, I'm going to write that song. And he was like, you bastard, I want to write that song. I go, I want to. He goes, okay, you can have it. So it's like, again, that's an example of kind of where lyrics come from and stuff, and like from a real place. And it came from a real situation and a relationship from somebody I love dearly, and I can't wait for you to hear it. You know what? I'm gonna send you some stuff to listen to before it comes out. Okay.
Sick. That sounds great. But what you were just saying then there about somebody saying something and it resonating and stealing that, making it your own. I've done the exact same thing, and I felt so bad because I was sat talking to my friend. He was really bad with his substance abuse, and he was talking about I was born with 1,000 dreams and now he's down to none. I was like, trying to make sure he's okay, but in the back of my head I was like, put that in that fucking vault because that's gonna get.
It's like it's one of those things where you shouldn't feel bad because you were talking with somebody you love, right? And it came out in the conversation of you being there for that person. And, it's certainly not, you're not taking that guy's name and going, hey, look at this, or that person's name, going, look at this. But it's coming from a real place. And that's like, I think, it's funny to have the guts to do that, for you to do that, to think, and you're thinking, I feel so bad, I'm thinking about this now. The fact that you want to mark it and that you want to keep it in the vault and you want to use that means that you, I think, have a deep understanding of life where you don't want to put it under the rug. Well, that's a horrible, hard thing to hear from your friend. Let's move on from that now. Because people need to hear that stuff and people need to, what's the word I'm looking for? Experience it. And believe me, when you sing that, people are going to understand that people understand that that's a real thing, like a line like that, you know what I mean? And you put it across, like it's coming from a real place, and it's comforting, and it's you got to have a lot of guts to do that, not sweep it under the rug. And that's certain special people do that. You know, I'm just saying, like, you know, you're one of them, obviously, because you think that way. Your mind is trained that way now. It's, I'm going to take something, and it might make you feel uncomfortable to take it, but it's for a real positive thing, you know, in the end. So
we just went really deep then, didn't we?
Yeah. God, I wish I was there, man. I wish I was up in Huddersfield.
If you were, this would be the longest podcast of all time. You know this.
Oh God, is it already? God,
no. It's like, have you ever met Andy Hawkins?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he came and did it, and I think that one was 2.5 hours. Yeah, just over 2.5 hours. We were chatting away for.
I bet.
I mean, he's an interesting booker. He's got some really amazing stories. So just like, you know, just getting caught up in one after another after another. Mm-hmm. But you touched on something there as well about the that track from one of your tracks that just appeared in a feature film.
Yes. Yeah.
I saw the pictures of you at the premiere and stuff.
Oh yeah, the old red carpet. You know, yeah. And that's the thing. You know, I do miss the times where I could just, you know, do, you know, something. You know, I you know, played awards things and stuff like that years ago or whatever. But, you know, I just did it and I went to sleep, you know. But now, if you don't have a picture of you doing it, then did it ever happen?
Exactly.
You're like, oh, God. So, yeah, so me and Russ, that guy, Russ Broom, he's like, I mean, I already have Andy Brook, who's like, he's worked with Status Quo, with Francis Rossi. He's an award-winning producer, and he's a keyboard player in my band and one of my best friends and brothers in the world. So that's where the album starts, you know. And then we have like, and then Russ is an old friend. Like, man, that guy's won Juno awards for songwriting. Juno is like the Brit Awards of Canada kind of thing. Yeah. Canadian Country Music Awards. He just won one of those. I mean, he's had one holding his mail, you know, that typical thing in the studio, you know. But I've known him. He's just an amazing guitar player too. But he heard that song, "You Can Get Dark with Me," and then he pitched it to this director, and it was a funny thing that we're on this now, because this is like a ghost story, a show, and about supernatural stuff. This movie, it's called thinking about my album titles, is How We Ended Us, and it's very much in the vein of like Jacob's Ladder.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, but it's about a couple. I want to give too much away. And like, it has premiered at the first International Film Festival, and it's going to be in a bunch more. But seeing it is amazing, because it's got this really dark undercurrent through it. And when the song is being played on the radio, it's during a really dark, violent moment. And it's just like almost hard to take, where this song about two friends has now been, and this is what I love, construed into the song, "But You Can Get Dark with Me," and it turns into a very different thing and works perfectly. And I was like, in this kind of psychological, supernatural thriller horror movie. And I was like, man, I was so happy about that. You know, that it was like taken up. And then it was great too, because it's the song at the end when the credits roll. And you know, when you go see a movie, when you're a kid and stuff, and they always play the cool song at the end, you know?
Yeah, totally.
And it's like, I was just sitting there going, "Oh, sounds great," and whatever. But it's funny though. Yeah, it's in a supernatural thriller, a ghost story movie. So it's funny that.
Well, I'm excited to see it now, dude.
it's really quite cool, man. It's really good. It's really cool.
Yeah, proper congrats on that. So, what is coming up next? Thing you're talking about the solo album. You just bought the new Digressions album not long ago as well.
Yeah, well, like I said, I took a bit of a break. I had to cancel some. We did the Call to Wild festival, and it took a bit of a break, and because I had to just be wholly present for a couple of things, you know what I mean? And I did. So now I can kind of start getting rolling. And so the Digressions, we have that album. to still play a bunch of shows for, and to kind of push a bit, and probably another video. And then we got this, and I just want this solo album. It's just been on my back of my head already, so I'm going to put it out. And I think that it's funny, a lot of people, at this point in my life, it's like, well, no, wait, you got to wait, and you got to do this, and you got to wait. And by the time I put out the records, 3 years.
That's all right. Swear all you want.
Yeah, but I'm not going to wait another year and a half to put out a record I want to put out in April, and I'm going to put it out. So, and play some shows, and that'll be a separate thing. There's a couple members of the band, like Andy's going to be playing guitar for the live band and that and stuff. So that's going to be exciting. And then, there'll be a video, whatever, just like all the creative things that go around it. I love just releasing music. And believe it or not, the Digressions, we already have, like on my phone here, I've got a thing. I think we've got like 24 songs, demos that we're all ready to go for a next record after the one we just released last year. So it was great. We just played this show with Carol Hodge. You know Carol?
And was it Sarah Borges as well?
Yeah, they're Borges.
Yeah.
2 amazing songwriters. And I know you know Carol. I know you know Piper.
Yeah.
And Carol and I don't know, she's such a great songwriter. We have I just feel like we kind of fell into a nice friendship. Do you know what I mean? Where we, kind of trust. It's lovely to see her all the time and play. And she kind of made me think, like, it's okay to do a couple of different things here. Maybe not just always just focused on the one. And when we played that show, it was the first show in a bunch of months. And there's Ricky and Gaff and Kit and everybody and Simon. And we're just so happy to be in the room together. We're like, all right, this is great. And we're already talking about what the next record, this demo's good, this blah, 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 blah. And it's just like, it just felt like, oh man, this is great. It's a lovely foundation of friendship and stuff. And, there's still going to be another role model single coming out.
Excellent.
So it's just like, these people are like, I don't know, the fabric of my life now. And it's like a creative situation that is ongoing and excited. We're excited about it, to do it. So there's lots of stuff to do.
That's the main thing, man. Stay excited. Always stay excited.
Stay excited, man. That's so it's perfectly. Everything I just said, that's in there. Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, as you just mentioned, Carol, like a former guest on the show, she puts albums out so fast. Mm-hmm. I mean, she just writes and writes and writes, and God damn, it's impressive. I mean, between our first and second album, I think there was 8 years.
What?
There was 8 years between the albums.
Oh, yeah, 8 years. Yeah.
Fuck, man. So we're like, we're not doing that again.
Yeah, exactly. There's no rule book though, right? It's like you put out records when you do, but you guys, man, I love playing with you guys. That was like, I love watching you on stage anyway.
And you.
It's like, you're just one of the best front people ever. And it's like, there's a real joy to it. So like, I mean, that's the thing. It's like, in a sense, man, the difference is, I got a family, I got 2 kids, and there's not a thing holding me down. That's absolutely not it. I want to be around my family. I love them. I can't tour. I can't do the Iron Maiden Power Slave tour like I used to do.
Yeah.
I just can't do it. Remember that when you were a kid? You got the cassette of Power Slave by Iron Maiden, you opened it up, and you look at the tour dates, and I was like,
just pages and pages of dates.
Yeah, there's like 3 Christmases on this thing. It's like, what the,
It's what I like about Steve Harris. He does these massive tours with Iron Maiden for like 3 years or whatever. Yeah. And then he stops. And instead of like the rest of them will go home, and he takes out his other band and just plays the toilet circuit. He's like,
are you talking about British Lion or whatever it is?
Yeah. They played in Huddersfield in January, and I was just stood there watching Steve Harris like 2 feet away from me, just doing his bass thing at the front of the stage, going, "This is fucking weird, man." But he loves it too.
Yeah, I know. That guy was a lifer when he was 18. That's what he did. Like, he kept the diaries, he blagged the gigs and the whole thing. I do notice in his life, just because I'm a huge Maiden fan, I still am.
Me too.
the fact that British Lion does that, there's no question that it's funny. His kids are now grown, so now he's able to kind of, well, what am I going to do? I'm going to sit at home with my slippers. Oh, I'm going to put out this band together and keep going, right? Like, why not?
Yeah, you know? I mean, it must be just amazing that you go like. So last week I was playing in a stadium to 100,000. Next gig, Huddersfield, 300 people. I
know, that's real love, though, man. But I was gonna say, some bands, they'll wait like 4 years and put out a record, but they'll be playing a lot. Do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Where me, I'm like, I think I'm a little too, me as a little. I want to kind of be doing stuff, so I'll be home with my family, so I can plan albums and write songs and do that. So I'm able to put out more records than it's like, it's funny. It's like I do like it when you get the review. It's like, oh, how did he write this in such short time? It's like, well, it's because I'm not living in the back of a tour bus like a lot of other of my friends are. It's like they would be able to do that too. But shh.
Yeah, that's the secret.
Yes. Oh no, this is a podcast.
Don't worry. I'll delete it all. But like you're a Canadian man, and I was going to ask favorite Canadian musicians.
Oh, the favorite ones would have to be right off the top. The guy who in a band called 39 Steps. His name is Chris Berry. Mm-hmm. Look up the song "Slip Into the Crowd," and when you see that video, think of.
You just paused a second.
Oh, that was certainly. Did that cut out, or did you hear?
Yeah. We just had a little bit of a connection problem there, but you're back now.
Yeah, Chris Berry. Yeah, so 39 Steps. He was like, if you saw that video, for Slip Into the Crowd, that's 15-year-old me. Watch that video. That was a thing. I was like, this is what I want to do for the rest of my life. Seriously, and I loved his voice. Great singer and stuff. Who else? I could say Canadian musicians. Art Bergman. Art Bergman is a fantastic songwriter. He used to be in a band called Poisoned, and he was also in a band called Young Canadians back in the 70s. But he is just an amazing songwriter with a huge body of work that he's just challenging, and he's just a serious, when I say nutcase in the best possible way, he's just a crazy person. He really feels things right on the edge of his skin. You could tell, and he's just such a great songwriter. And I could say it's funny. He's a good friend of mine. I don't mind saying it. He's Rich Jones from he's like a brother to me. You know what I mean? He's like my best friend brother and stuff. But that doesn't stop me from I love the Black Halos. I loved pretty much everything he does. His writing now with Michael Monroe is really to write for somebody else's voice and still have yourself in that song. I tell him all the time, like, and I'll even do him for you. He's like, "Oh, shut up, Rags. What the hell you know?" You know what I mean? The way he's like,
Yeah.
Yeah. So those are some of my favorites Canadian musicians. Yeah.
No Avril Lavigne or Nickelback in there.
Well, the lead singer for Nickelback used to come to the hair salon I worked at with Stacy. I used to work at a hair salon in Toronto called John Steinberg and Associates. It's really quite a big one. And with the guitar player from, do you remember Robin Black and the Intergalactic Rockstars?
No, but I wish I did.
Well, you do, look them up. The guitar player for that band, they were real glammy, obviously.
Yeah, of course.
Another one of my closest friends, Stacey Stray, was the guitar player, and he's just fantastic. But he's another great guitar. You know who what am I thinking? One of my favorite Canadian songwriters and singers is this guy, Neil Layton. And he was in a band called The Conscious Pilot. I actually was lucky enough to do a tour across Europe with him. And he is, look up Neil Layton online and just man, what a singer. It just incredible voice, powerful, and he's just great, man. And he just likes everything in just the right amounts. Like he's got this Bowie T-Rex thing, but he's got like a Nick Cave kind of thing. And when I say that, I just mean I'm putting that together in my head to do the math because I always wanted to be as good as somebody like him.
Yeah.
You know? And you start to go, how do you do that? And he's somebody I really look up to, and he is a good friend, but man, he's somebody I really, really admire. Great singer and just awesome.
I've got some homework, so I'm going to do some looking up later tonight.
Yeah, right.
Find some new music, which is always good. Well, I think we've had a good discussion here about music and what makes Rags the man. Are you ready to get spooky?
Sure, man. Sure.
Let's talk ghosts.
And I thought okay. Yes. Let's talk ghosts.
So I always kick off this part of the podcast with the same question. Rags, do you believe in ghosts?
Well, this is an interesting question because hold on, there's something on my screen that's bugging me there. Do I believe in ghosts? I find myself to be quite a spiritual person. I also find myself to be, I like to ask questions, you know, and it's hard for me to wholeheartedly say I do, but I have experiences that have led me to think that, yes, I mean, that I do believe in them, you know, but to a place, so I'm not like a full-on, like, can I tell you the fastest, quickest story?
You can tell the longest if you want to know.
At the British Library in St. Pancras one year, my wife got me a birthday present, and it was a guy who was a renowned photographer of ghosts. And it was like this big, you know, in the British Library, this, you know, it was packed in there, and he'd have these, you know, pictures like, you know, this was taken, and well, I can show you why that's not a ghost. And this person was somebody, a bit of a, you know, he had the stories, and he would travel around from town to town, you know, pictures from the 40s and the 30s and stuff. And then he'd go, well, here's a set of photographs that can't be explained. And he's showing this and that. And he did the whole thing. It was really amazing. Yeah. And so eloquent. And then it was like, well, does anybody have any questions? And I'm sitting beside my wife, and you know, the hand was up. My wife was just like, oh, I could hear her audibly go, oh, no, darling, don't. I was like, I got to. So the long march up, and there's the microphone. The microphone gets, you know, okay, thanks. I was like, thank you so much for the for today. It was so entertaining and so enlightening. I do have one question though. There are certain items of clothing that I'm really attached to, you know, like for instance, I'm a musician. I tour around. I have like certain shoes, and I have a blazer that I love to wear on stage and stuff. And I'm just wondering how can I go about, if I was to get hit by a bus tomorrow, how I could go about making sure that I can take my blazer with me for photographs. and the guy was like, next question, please.
He wouldn't answer.
No, because I mean, they're all wearing these lacy Victorian dresses and stuff and everything. And I was like, there's some items of clothing I'd like to take into the netherworld, you know, and I just don't know how I can do that.
Those shoes cost a pretty penny.
Yeah, man, I'd like to take it, you know, they keep saying you can't take it with you, but there's all these people in their ball gowns, you know. Anyway,
you don't see many naked ghosts, do you? So you must be able to take it with you.
That's what I'm saying. But there's that typical idea, that antiquated idea that that's what ghosts are. But you want to get into a couple of stories, or?
Yeah, dude, I always want to hear stories. Give me these stories. This is what I'm here for.
Well, this is when I was young, and my next door neighbor, who was my best friend, Susan, she like we were really close. Like it was one of those things where when I was like 7 years old, it was when the first person who first taught me how to make allowances in relationships. Like I'd ask her if we could play Rockstar for half an hour, and then I'd play House Easy Bake Oven for the rest of the day. Like that's how lousy I was at making those kinds of things. But really close. But her family was she was first generation Canadian, and her family was Italian. And I was over at a place one day, and she was in her mom's room doing something. There was an ensuite there or something. And she was in there, and she came, and the phone rang, and Mrs. Piatto, the mom, answered the phone, was talking on the phone, and Susan came running out, going, Mom, like to me, come inside, look, grandma's here. My grandma's here from Italy. And I was like, I looked at her, I go, I don't see anybody, Susan, And she's like, no, look. It's like she came in, and then her mom was crying on the phone. And she's like, Mom. She's like, Susan, what? Susan, I'm on the phone. Your grandma just died. And
holy shit.
There was no talking about her finding out that her grandma had passed away, and then her seeing something. There was nothing. It was her running out of the bedroom telling me, when grandma's in there, do you see that? Mom pulling at her skirt, come on. And she's like, you can, mild annoyance, in Italian, shh, be quiet. I'm on the phone with Italy, long distance, because your grandma just died. I can never explain that. Like, that's crazy. You know what I mean?
Goose pimples, man. Got goose pimples.
I actually telling it serious, man. I just telling it again. I was just like, and Susan's that kind of person that was like, I mean, there was just no way of her to make up that story. Do you know what I mean? Like, why grandma?
But you're not the first person who's like said stories like that. I mean, families and friends, you have these such strong connections which can't be explained. And Andy, when he was on, he was talking about when his mother passed, and like they knew that she didn't have long left. She was in the hospital, but he woke up bolt upright in the night, and he was just like he had that feeling, and his wife was like, are you okay? You okay? Then the phone rang like a few seconds later to news, it's just like TJ, who's in a great band called the Barstool Preachers, when he was on, he was saying about his grandma, coming and sitting on his bed and stuff, and it's crazy,
Come sitting on his bed, like, the one thing that was described to me later, because Susan described what she saw later, because that was the situation, right? Like, that's how I remember it. But the thing that made her run out of the room and felt scared was that she realized, like, we were like about 7 or 8, was that the grandma was going, come here, like, to have a hug.
Yeah. And
we put it together pretty quick. Oh, she was shocked to see her grandmother. Then she was also like, why? This is wrong. You should be in Italy. That kind of thing. Like,
something doesn't add up.
Yeah, she wasn't like 4 years old or anything. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, and then ran out, and then that whole happened. But then, you can imagine that, come here. That it's a heavy thing to have witnessed. And so I was there for my friend and with her, about it, and she told me about it. But I didn't see it, but I still feel I was part of that situation.
Of course, yeah.
And so, but yeah, so there was that's something where I think, I mean, like you said, the energy and the vibrating molecules that we are, there's something about that is unexplainable. Anyway, emotion is unexplainable. I mean, I remember somebody being so dark with me, is like, that you could feel love from such a far a distance, and and have a connection. And it's like, oh well, that's just all. The reason why we feel love is because we have to procreate. I don't know. I mean, I love a lot of people I don't want to procreate with. It's just like shit,
Exactly. Yeah.
But that energy. So when you say, do you believe in ghosts? I mean, I believe certainly that that's not all there is. Do you know what I mean? So
yeah,
I mean,
energy, energy can't be destroyed. It just finds a new thing. And that's a lot of it. It's like what really annoys me about skeptics. I'm going to say it with a bit of venom in my tongue. Skeptics is it's like they feel like Callum, the producer, just stood up because he's not a believer but won't do a Ouija board. One of them. But it's like a lot of them are just like they're like it's the most stupid thing I've ever heard. Where's the proof? Where's the proof? And then you can go, there's photos, there's videos, there's all these people who you should be trusting who are telling you these stories. That should be proof. We're like, nah.
It's funny. It's not even the stories and like the videos and stuff. It's almost like there are people that you trust and love in our lives that have shared these things with us, have nothing to gain by telling us a story like that. Do you know what I mean? Or sharing that. I mean, they have nothing to gain from that. There's no fame in that kid telling me what you just saw in the bedroom, or somebody you love telling you something. There's nothing to gain from that. It's an actual, and then if that's true, then your mind opens up and goes, yeah, maybe these other stories, because sometimes it is hard to see stuff on online, because there is a certain amount of would like so many hits on a video or something, right?
Yeah.
But like, I mean, even that, you can't walk around so negative about everything that you can't believe any of it. And also, there's a foundation of probably people that you love and trust telling you similar things. And so do you think they're nuts, or do you think that, or do you know what I mean, or do you not believe them, or are you so closed off to an idea that my thing is, I just don't, I don't understand, and I'm not going to pretend to understand. So but I'm also not going to close myself off to the experiences of it. I got another funny story, if you like.
Yeah. Let me hear it.
It's a little bit different. It's a bit less ghost and more supernatural kind of thing. When my dad was a teenager in Hungary, in a small village in eastern Hungary, one of his best friends had this crush on a girl, and kind of like, was always kind of trying to, get over to her place or get to know her a bit better. So she invited him over for dinner. They were a family that my dad described that seemed, they weren't very communicative with the rest of the community. Do you know what I mean? Like, but not like there was anything wrong with them, but they were very quiet. That typical, they kept to themselves,
Such a quiet man.
Yeah. But anyway, it's not like that. But so she invited him over for dinner. He kind of, was like, hey, kind of, he put enough moves on her, if you know what I mean. He kept it up. I was like, okay, come over for dinner. But they had dinner, was with the mom and the dad. And then after that dinner, he realized, it was like the first day or two, he'd like just go over to her place, like right after school, or, before football practice, soccer practice. And then he was just always ending up at her door. And then he would literally wake up and go, I'm not going to her place. There's no way I'm going to her place. And then would just 4 o'clock in the afternoon, he'd be like, what am I doing here? I'm just here again. And it's happened for like a month. Could not stop going to her place. Couldn't will himself to stop going to the place. He would put something in his path, like I've got a job to do, I got this or that, make a plan, and he would end up at her place, always, uncontrollable, to the point where he was telling my dad, like, this is scaring me, I hate this, I can't stop going. So he actually, the one time he got there, and he was like, I got to talk to you. It's by lack of better term, it's creeping me out. I can't stop coming here. Cannot stop coming here. I don't like it. What can we do? Is there something here? I can't understand why. So she said, do you want to not come here anymore? Do you want to stop coming here? And he said, yes. I said, okay, come on, let's go have dinner. And the mom made them dinner again, ate with them, never went over again.
Witchcraft.
Yeah. Eastern European too, so that's even my dad is a full-on, like, but this was his buddy, you know what I mean? And he was just like, he was saying that it went from him, my dad going, come on, you've had a big crush, and that's the kind of thing that was driving this guy crazy, I guess, is like, no, Mishka, in Hungarian.
Yeah.
Mishka, that's your name in Hungarian too, by the way, Mike. No, Mishka, I know I had a big crush on her. Don't say that. I just don't want to go there anymore. Come on, that's all you've been talking about. So no matter what he said, nobody would kind of believe him. And he was just like, no, you don't get it. I just can't stop going. And then he ended up asking, please, I don't want to go anymore. Like and he told my dad, and my dad was just like, wow, I don't know. And they were like, yeah, the 16 years old, my dad said they were 16. So it's 2 years. Yeah. 2 years before my dad left Hungary in the revolution. So it was one of those things. My dad's just not the kind of guy to get into that kind of stuff. Yeah, good sense of humor, that eyebrow, the Hungarian eyebrow, that whatever, blah, blah, blah. Don't be stupid kind of stuff. But yeah, that's a story he stuck by. And that happened to his pals.
Because I totally believe in all that sort of shit as well. I kind of believe in everything. Callum, have I ever told you about my belief in Santa Claus on this podcast?
You believe in anything.
I do believe in everything. Right. Can I tell you my belief in Santa?
Yeah.
I've heard this one.
So, I think
Santa, it seems to have
could be real, right? But not like visiting every kid all around the world. He just chooses like 8. 8 kids who really deserve it, and they get presents. I mean, the story comes from somewhere, right? I'm not saying he's wearing a big red suit and going, ha, ha, ha. But, I mean, I'm an eternal optimist. And I don't want to sound crazy, but it could be true. It could be real.
The story of Santa's true.
I mean, I don't believe in the Easter Bunny, but Santa could be a thing.
You know what, man? My daughter is turning 13. We had a conversation about this a few years ago, and I just remember, when did you stop believing in Santa Claus? I remember I asked this a few years ago, and she was like, what do you mean? I was like, moving swiftly on. I just thought, in this day and age, and the thing about it is, and this is where I'm going to tell you, Mikey, and this is why I love what you just said, and the fact that you admit that fully, is that, even with that story about my dad's friend or this, I do believe in, it's funny. It's like in magic to a certain degree. Mm-hmm. I do believe in it. I do believe that there is a slight, like a realm that's unexplainable, but can in your own little way, in our own ways, not little ways. I don't, because that sounds condescending, but in our own ways, we can reach into that and make something special happen, and things that I think the most unexpected and unbelievable things. It's sometimes they turn out to be real, and it's like and your belief in something so positive and everything is just, I think it's gorgeous. It's beautiful. It's like
I'm so glad you said you believe in magic because I think it's important. I think having belief in things is just a great thing. Would you like to see a ghost picture?
Yes, I do.
I show this to every guest. I'm going to send it to your phone because I don't show the listeners and watchers just yet. I'm going to wait until the guy who sent me this comes on. He's in a great band called The Attack from Florida. Everyone should always check out them. And when I was in Florida the other year, we were talking about ghosts. And he showed me this picture, and it chilled me to my goddamn core.
Okay. Okay. Maybe I'm scared to get it on my phone then. I don't know.
Well, it has been sent to you.
Well, there you go anyway. Okay.
So have a look, say. I like to see people's reactions.
Oh. Yeah, let's see. And this is like a photo of right behind him?
Yeah. I mean,
wow.
You zoom into that and you can see straight through it and everything.
That's a little. Oh man, that's something else, man. That's crazy,
isn't it? I can't wait to get him on. I think he's coming over to the UK on tour soon, so I'm going to try and get him dragged in so we can have a few drinks and a chat. But I don't want to keep you all night, but I do have a couple more questions, if that's okay.
Yeah.
I asked this question to all the guests. I didn't ask it last week because I had no need to, because she told a story earlier which answered this question, and it is: would you fuck a ghost?
No.
Ooh, straight down the is that because you're a married man, or?
Right. That's right. Cheating's cheating, no matter what, even if it's in the spirit world. You know what I'm saying, buddy?
I hear that.
And I gotta tell you, I'm very happily married. So no ghosts, no nothing, man. Not interested in that. Without getting too deep into it, Mike, because this is a conversation in which I wish I had a drink like you, or I wish I was in the same room as you to continue on, because I'd love to see where this will go. I'm not even sure, I'm not sure how that could happen anatomically. But
no, you said it's because I watched Ghostbusters as a kid, and it goes on with Dan Aykroyd.
Ghostbusters.
Yeah, yes. And Kesha, she claims to have done the deed with the ghost. And really? I'm thinking Karen, who was on the show last week, she's from a band called Chase Long Beach from California. And I'm pretty much sure she was talking about having sex with ghosts.
I think she should take about 5 minutes in this podcast talking about it.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. She was happy.
But, the one thing though, I'm glad that you had me on here, because there's certain things about this that it's people think of the creepiness, the scariness of the unknown and stuff like that. But the idea of embracing something that you don't understand, I think, is beautiful, because it doesn't mean, because you don't understand it doesn't necessarily mean that it's something to be loathed or hated. Yep. It's something that you can, certain people can feel, trepidation about, scared about and stuff, but it's something like the more open you are to that kind of magic and that kind of stuff, I think the more open you are to what's really in the people that are right there solid in front of you. I think if you have that kind of disposition, it's going to go into a positive thing anyway. Do you know what I mean? You're not so scared, because you're not so scared of things. You're more willing to accept what another person is like and who they are, even though it's not something you understand. It's all increments of that same thing. I don't understand it. Why am I scared of it? If you are open to the idea of something like big like this, then you're going to be open to people and understanding and empathetic and fucking
yeah.
And that's it. And it's funny, I always find that those two things kind of go hand in hand. So thanks for having me on this thing, man.
No, it's been absolutely great to see you. It's okay to be scared of spiders, people, so don't worry. You can be scared of spiders, because that's my main fear in life, not ghosts. But yeah, it's always a pleasure to hear your voice.
Sorry, it seems to have
a paused up again. There you are.
Oh, thanks, man.
Yeah, great to see you.
Yeah, it paused up a little bit.
Yeah, well, I look forward to getting to see you in person soon and hanging out again, sharing a few drinks.
Well, let's talk about that. Like you said, you got to 2 different places now. So, like, there's some things we can work out. And that's just always a great, music is just a great excuse for friends like us to get together. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, so let's do that soon, man. And I will talk to you really soon. Lots of love to everybody over there in Huddersfield and stuff. And take care, man. Thank you so much.
Man. Right. So that was episode number 4 of season number 3 with Rags. A great episode. I really enjoyed that a lot. We'll see you next time. Remember, people, stay spooky. Woo!